Hello, and you are listening to the Book Was Better podcast, the podcast where we talk about the book of the film. I'm Luke.
I'm Violet.
And this week we're talking about the Twilight Zone, the movie.
Hey you, put down the popcorn and turn on the light. It's gonna be alright, my friend. In the end, take my hand and trust me, the book was better.
Making movies out of television shows. As Hollywood run out of ideas, I can't believe this. Crazy. Take an old TV show and just, now it's a movie. That's like turning a cat into a dog or
something out of the Twilight Zone.
Whoa! So Twilight Zone. Now you're younger than me, of course.
Yes.
So you're of an age. You think Twilight Zone. You think it's a place where sparkly vampires hug you.
No, I'm not that young. Come on.
How familiar are you with the Twilight Zone? Did you ever watch the TV show?
Yeah, I watched the TV show. I think it might have been on when I was a kid, as repeats, of course, and late at night where nobody's watching it. But then I watched The Simpsons, and they're all from the Twilight Zone, so...
Yeah, the Treehouse of Horror Halloween specials have pretty much remade everything in this film. And this is a Book Was Better first, because this is a book and film, which is an anthology. It's 4 separate stories.
Oh, yeah.
And we've never had that before. So listeners are going to get to hear 4 short stories, which is actually a bit hard, because I had to go through essentially 4 beginnings, middles, and ends.
Yeah.
Whereas normally, you're doing a Roland Emmerich movie or something like that, Day After Tomorrow or whatever, you set up all the characters, do a bit, and then you just skip through the third act because it's all just action and nothing happens. But this time, every 50 pages, new characters, new scenarios. Yep. At least these stories are pretty simple. And this film is from 1983. Now, I will say right from the beginning, Violet, very grateful that you're here because you were a last-minute addition to... I was going to just not do the show. And you were like, no, your listeners, they deserve a show. Give them a show. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Psych me up. But you're not overly familiar with this. And I think that's good. I said, well, don't be familiar. Let me share with you these spooky Twilight Zone tales.
So kind of you, Luke. So kind.
And I want to know if they still pack a punch. Yeah. If you can guess what's going to happen, if they kind of freak you out a little bit, if you're going to be sleeping with the lights on tonight.
Oh, probably.
And this has got quite a pedigree. So it's 1983. And just in case people don't know, the 4 segments are directed by John Landis, who did Animal House, American Werewolf in London. Okay. Joe Dante, who did Gremlins. Okay. Steven Spielberg, I'm not familiar with him. And Aussie bloody legend George Miller.
All right.
Who right now is just tearing up everybody with Fury Road.
Oh, your favourite.
Yeah, isn't that that's a very interesting tie.
It is.
That's a
cool.
Spooky coincidence.
Yeah.
Kind of spooky, ironic coincidence that we'll be confronting a lot when we enter the Twilight Zone. So, yeah, this is really exciting. And this novel is by Robert Bloch. I assume Bloch. Would you say Bloch or Bloch?
Yeah, I'm say Bloch.
I think it's Bloch.
Yeah.
Now, he is the author of the original novel Psycho.
Wow.
So not the adaptation, because Psycho was based on this man's novel. And he wrote a whole lot of other original horror stuff, a book called American Gothic, something called Night of the Ripper. He was really interested in serial killers and all sorts of stuff.
Cool.
And serial.
Cool.
He would... you could often see him with a gaunt face, a drawn expression, walking up and down the cereal aisle in the Walmart.
Okay.
Yeah. Did that frighten you?
Kind of.
Well, look,
Walmart is
you
scary.
just wait. That's just
Cereals
a warm-up.
Scary.
That's a warm-up scare. Now, let's get into this book because we've got a lot of ground to cover. But I will say the book skips the opening sequence, which I love in the film, which is Dan Aykroyd and Albert Brooks.
You can just stop there, Dan Aykroyd.
Well, this is the thing. This is John Landis, who did American Werewolf in London.
Yeah.
Have you seen American Wolf in London?
I have, but no, I can't tell you anything about it.
Just to refresh your memory, when the opening scenes with the two backpackers,
Yep, that's
and they're
it.
walking through to the pub,
Yeah.
and it's actually quite funny. They're charismatic.
You're
they
right.
have a really interesting conversation. They're getting along. You're quite engaged. It's quite amusing. But then horrible stuff happens. And it makes it scarier, in my opinion, because the conversation feels very real.
Yep.
It feels like the sort of funny
Yeah,
thing
the
that would
human
happen.
experience.
And I thought that with Dan Aykroyd. Dan Aykroyd, like, this is just sort of pre-Ghostbusters. He's a Saturday Night
Yeah.
Liver. You've got Albert Brooks. They're talking. They're having this funny conversation. And it feels really just loose and kind of amusing. They're trying to scare each other. Albert Brooks scares him by turning the lights off on the car. And then they talk about TV themes and they sing them and try and guess what they are. And then Aykroyd's like, hey, do you remember that show, The Twilight Zone? And Albert Brooks is like, yeah, that was a really good show. Total, just pimping their own ride here.
Yep.
And then Aykroyd's like, want to see something really scary? And they pull over and he, like, his face goes all demon-y and weird.
Wow.
Except
Yeah.
it sounds better than it is
Okay.
in practice. Have you seen that? You've seen that
I've
bit,
seen
haven't
that bit, I have, and I remember I don't know, it's funny. I also love it when movies say the title of the movie in the movie.
Yeah, which
So-
they do a fair bit
Exactly.
in that sequence. I remember that scaring the shit out of me, but it was when I was a kid. But
Yes.
because I was being told about it by kids at school, and it sounds a lot scarier when you imagine it. I actually noticed watching it this time that they put some sort of like animal roar or something over the top of it when he changes.
That never happened in the...
Well, it seems false. It sort of seems like
Yeah.
they went, oh, this isn't quite
So,
scary
yeah,
enough.
need
We'll
to
add
make it
this. But he
scarier.
doesn't look like he's making that sound.
Yeah.
I think the other problem is they cheat. They cut away. And I think it would have looked a lot better if they'd done a tricky thing where it all happened in the one shot. Where
Yeah.
he turned away and then turned back. That would have been scarier. Cut away, you kind of lose me.
Yep.
Come on, John Landis. Get it together. So, that's not in the book. I've just wasted everyone's time because the book starts straight away with segment 1, which is called Bill.
Okay.
I'm going to warn you, Violet, because we're going to be reading these things together. Bill has some things to say that certainly
Bill.
don't express our own opinions.
Okay.
This was 1983, and Bill's not a very nice character, and we're going to find out about him. So here we go. Do you want to kick us
Sure.
off?
Bill Connor fought his way through the early evening traffic with more than his usual quota of curses as he manoeuvred the Ford into the right-hand lane and prepared to make his turn. Sure as hell, just as he slid into position, the light changed. Story of my life, he told himself. Every time I think I'm going someplace, there it goes again. They stop me cold.
I wouldn't give Bill's problems to a monkey in the rock.
I know,
I tell ya,
right.
this guy, as we've always, you and I talk about all the time,
Yep.
one of the groups that suffers the most, white males.
Okay, and rich ones who can afford cars.
Yeah.
First world problems.
Yeah, really tough. So we've got a pretty surly guy here, but there's a more sinister aspect, uncomfortable aspect to this man's anger. Through the windshield, his eyes caught a blur of movement, and the sound of a sudden shout mingled with the squeal of brakes as his car halted, barely missing the stream of pedestrians directly in its path along the crosswalk. Bill leaned out the window to get a better glimpse of their frightened faces as they scurried by. Black faces, of course. Whole damned neighborhood was full of them.
Not very cool, Bill.
Well, I'm not a racist, and my family from England. I read this. I assumed chimney sweeps.
Oh, right.
Area with a lot of chimneys. A lot of chimneys. They get the chimney sweeps. They
Yep,
get
yep,
soot on their faces.
Yep.
I'm thinking it's all innocent
Yeah.
at this stage.
Okay.
As I'm sure you are too.
All these
because
people were there to... Yeah, I don't know.
clean chimneys.
Where-
Sweep chimneys.
Sweet. Okay.
That's what chimney sweeps do. Turns out no. And you know what? It's not just those guys. He's got more problems. I'm sorry to make you read out some of this stuff.
Okay.
Everybody promise that you will not make Violet's racist tirades into your ringtone.
Please don't. The last thing he needed now was an accident. Some damn hopped up jig steps in front of your car, and the next thing you know, there's a Jew lawyer coming at you with $1 million damage suit.
Yeah, so he's not fond of the black people using terms that I'm not even familiar with.
Yeah, I don't even know what that is. A hopped up jig steps.
1983.
I don't
Hopped
know.
up jig. I think that's something Innocent a Sailor would do.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of sounds like a dance routine.
Absolutely. And then it turns out they're even on the radio. Bill cut off the voice, wishing he could cut his throat instead. Goddamn jungle bunnies. Bad enough they'd taken over the streets. Now they'd taken over the air too. And look, I think it's a shame that that's a slur.
Yeah,
because to
exactly.
me, jungle bunnies, that sounds like the sort of
It
cute
does.
cartoon you'd watch
You're
after
right.
you know, Gummy Bears, followed by jungle bunnies.
Yeah, exactly. I would take a jungle bunny.
Yeah.
Another term I like, which is bad, is she-wolf. I really like that term.
She-wolf? Yeah. How would you use it in a sentence? Like, hot damn, she's a real she-wolf on the dance floor.
I'm pretty sure it's a bad thing.
Bad.
That damn she-wolf. I don't know, but it sounds pretty cool.
And they, didn't the Nazis have, isn't there a film like She-Wolf of the SS or something
Something like that, yeah.
Sheena or something. Anyway, there's lots of inner thoughts with Bill. We really get into his mindset in this book, which is the sign of a true writer. This is a real novelizationist.
Yeah.
He's not just getting from A to
Character
B.
development, right?
Yeah, he's getting into Bill's inner thoughts. The only problem is they're incredibly offensive.
Take the crime situation, for example. First thing to do is kill off 80% of the lawyers, 90% of the psychiatrists, and 100% of the kind of people who started off a sentence with, "Hey, man."
Yeah, what, like Bart Simpson?
I know.
Who's got a problem with the yellow spiky haired people
Or just
too?
everyone that says,
Hey man.
"Hey, man."
Whoa, kill, death sentence. And look, it's a fine line here because I personally feel reading this, like Robert Bloch has already made his point that the guy's a racist.
Yep.
I get it.
Yeah.
But he keeps going and going with all these
Yeah.
inner thoughts, which aren't in the script. So this isn't him just regurgitating the
Yeah,
script. This isn't him reading back something like we are. This is him thinking up extra racist things to put in the book. And I just thought, you've made your point. Surely a lot of writers here might be reluctant to continue to explore this, because this one, that's progress for you. Once upon a time, all they stole was chickens and watermelons.
What?
Now, if you didn't keep your eyes open, they take your car or your wallet or even your life.
This is insane, Luke. What kind of thing have you taken
I
me
know,
into?
isn't this awful? It gets worse. I think there's some that we can't even read out loud.
Yeah.
So, Bill is a salesman, and he goes for a wind-down drink in a bar with a couple of his buddies, who are called Ray and Larry, which is so perfect.
Yeah, Ray, Larry, and Bill.
Yeah.
Boys.
Like, and Carl and Lenny.
Hookers.
And they grumble about Jews. A Jew took his job. And turns out he's sexist too.
The waitress set 2 glasses of beer on the tabletop in front of Bill, and he turned, his scowl vanishing at the sight of her cleavage as she bent forward. Reaching out, he made a grab for her rounded buttocks. "How'd you like to cheer up an old man?" he muttered.
And she gets pissed off with him, rightly so, but they all just laugh about it, of course. They're like, "Oh, Bill, you like to manhandle ladies." And I don't even think either of us can read this one aloud. I tell you what, can you think of a different N-word that I can say instead of this? Any N-word.
90s?
90s, okay.
Sure.
And let's do a different one here because
What about... Oh,
an A-word.
an A word.
I'll give you one. I'll do one because you
You
chose
can
that
do
one.
it,
Here we
yeah.
go. "Never mind that," Bill muttered. "Aardvarks are just 90s wrapped in sheets."
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So kind of...
Let the audience
Bill sucks. He
piece
really
that together.
does.
That's a really horrible thing to say. Finally, an upstanding African-American gentleman comes over to confront him on all of his bullshit. Bill calms down momentarily, but then leaves with this little bombshell. I almost feel like we should play rock, scissors, paper to see who has to say this. Here we go,
okay.
ready?
Paper,
One,
scissors, rock.
Paper, scissors, rock.
Yay.
Oh! Okay. An inner sensor modulated the sound of Bill's voice, but not the message it conveyed. Hitler had the right idea. You just kill all of them.
Wow.
So Bill, having charmed everybody in the bar, finally goes outside. But
Bill didn't hear it. He was too busy staring into the street before him, where everything was wrong.
now things are wrong. Cars are missing, storefronts are battered, and glancing around, he noticed other changes. Banners dangling from poles before the shops, each emblazoned with a design that also reminded him of something seen in the distant past. A squiggle of angling, interlocking black lines forming the shape of a swastika.
Ooh.
So where do you think he is?
Somewhere in Nazi land.
Somewhere in Nazi land, yes. And he's certainly not in Sesame Street, let me tell you that.
Or he could be in a Buddhist temple if it was the other way around.
Which means like good luck, goodwill.
I think it might be the opposite way that the swastika goes.
They take everything good and turn it into something evil. Like Herbie the Love Bug.
It's pretty much like Bizarro Superman.
Yes. But I think the Australian swastika is like the Southern Cross tattoo.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
The Aussie Swazi.
You nailed it! No, Bill has been transported to France in World War II and he's confronted by two Nazi officers who think that Bill is a Jew.
The second officer slapped his face. "Cease, still," he shouted. Is that what that... Oh, yeah.
I don't know, I think it's German, is it French? I don't know.
Yeah. "See, still," he shouted. The stinging blow brought tears to Bill's eyes, and before he could speak again, the first officer had grabbed his wallet. Now he was rifling its plastic pockets and examining their contents.
The shoe is on the other foot now, Bill. Speaking of shoes being on the other foot, have you heard of the Adam Sandler movie? It's from this year or last year. It wasn't in the cinemas here, called The Cobbler.
Never. Not heard of it.
It's like... got all these Jewish guys talking at the beginning, like, what are they,
Hasidic?
Yeah, I was going to say acidic, but I'm thinking of aliens. Both are just as otherworldly to this ignorant Australian. But, yeah, and they talk about, the rabbi says, I only know these terms from The Simpsons as well. Simpsons teaches you everything, right?
Exactly.
The rabbi basically says, you don't know a man until you walk in his shoes, which is really the message here as well. So then, can you guess what happens with Adam Sandler?
He has to walk in the Hasidic Jewish person's shoes, no?
He owns a cobbler store, and I guess he makes, like, magic shoes.
Oh, right.
That make you have empathy. I don't know. I didn't actually... like keep going after that, but like magic shoes and then you get to wear the magic shoes and walk in another man's shoes and then like understand them and stuff.
Is it like being John Malkovich, but like...
I don't know, wouldn't you just like get Michael Jordan shoes and then do some sweet slam dunks and then you'd be like, I didn't learn anything.
Yeah, I'm Michael Jordan, I'm the best.
I'm putting on Adam Sandler shoes. Oh, now I understand why he makes all these weird movies. Like he did things like with a magic remote control and like he's like the best at magic object movies.
Yeah, he is.
In my opinion.
Or getting angry. You know the way he gets angry when he yells.
He sure does. God, reminds me of my dad. I don't even know my dad. I'm kidding. Right, so the Nazis, they chase him, guns drawn, and bam! Pain lands Bill's left arm just below the shoulder. He glanced down, shocked at the sight of the bleeding wound. So shit is really getting real now. He tries to take refuge in a house. They're not having it. He makes some children cry in the house. He falls off a roof, but instead of hitting cobblestones...
Bill was lying face down, his left cheek pressed against the ground. And it was ground, not cold hard stone, but soft warm grass. Something was wrong here. Very wrong.
What is going on? Twist after twist after twist. I think he's already... We didn't have a formal introduction. There was no signpost or anything. I think he's in the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, he's definitely in the Twilight Zone. He's in the
area. You know, before he might have been just walking around outside the Twilight Zone.
No,
he's in it. He's in it. He was lying on his back in a forest clearing. Flames flickered under the hanging branches of the trees. Flames of torches held in the hands of white-robed, hooded figures standing over him. A shock of recognition surged through him. It's the KKK.
Yeah.
And they think that he is a black man. He's walking in another man's shoes again. So they beat the shit out of Bill. They try and hang him. Bill manages to weasel out and escape, the dirty weasel. They set the dogs on him. He dives into the water, but now...
Instead, he found himself surrounded by floating clumps of rotting vegetation, from which a brackish stench arose, streaming into the tropical night. Tropical?
Tropical. So where could he be? Hawaii?
The Himalayas?
Yeah, somewhere really great. No, he's in Bali.
Wait, where is the Himalayas?
Wearing,
That's cold, right?
wearing a bintang singlet,
Yeah, he's in Bali.
having some beers. No, he's in Vietnam. And he's being attacked by... Now, this is ironic.
Americans!
Fuck yeah.
USA!
America. Bill started to wade through the reeds, moving towards the shore. Listen to me, he shouted. I'm an American. You've got to help me, please. From the bank above came an excited murmur. Look, there's one now. You're right, I see him, the gook mother. The rest of his words were lost in the sudden burst of sound, the insane chatter of machine gun fire. So he's really getting to find out how these people felt. So Bill, he momentarily escapes, heading for a village. He's trying to figure it all out. And these are the things he's thinking. You can use our special word to replace that word if you like.
Okay, it wasn't his imagination, and he wasn't crazy. It was others who freaked out. The Nazis, who mistook him for a Jew, the Klansmen, who thought he had N-word blood.
90 blood.
The 90 blood. The GIs, who figured him for a gook. What was the matter with them? Didn't they have eyes? Couldn't they see that he was an American all along?
Yeah, it doesn't sound to me like Bill's really learning anything here.
No.
If these are still... We probably should have picked a G word too, shouldn't we?
Yeah, look, we're just saying what's
written down. We don't agree with it. In fact, it's pretty shitty. And I think if you were a true American, all you need to do would be pull a hamburger out of your pocket for identification. Oh, I'm sorry. I can understand the confusion. Here's my hamburger.
But you can't say the words "hey man" because then he's just a hypocrite.
Hey man. Oh, ooh, I'm one of them. And of course, the helicopter sequence is missing in both the book and the film with very good reason. Now, bit of trivia here, and very sad trivia. The actor who plays Bill is Vic Morrow, and a lot of people probably know this. If you're younger, maybe you don't. But he was accidentally killed on set while doing this
That's crazy.
segment.
Okay.
And it was a sequence which isn't in the book or the film. I think it must have followed the village where he rescues two children and he runs through the water with them.
What?
And the helicopter fell out of the sky after being rocked by pyrotechnics, and the rotors came down and decapitated Vic Morrow and one of the children. Just gone in less than a second. And there was a massive lawsuit about it all. Went for years. Spielberg was involved. Landis, of course, who directed it, was involved. They wanted to do him for manslaughter and stuff. Ended up getting away with it, but it's very controversial, and there's been a lot of safety rules and things since then. The children shouldn't have even been there. They shouldn't have been doing a night shoot. They were illegally hired. There was a lot of problems. Apparently, there's some books about it. There's a book called Outrageous Conduct, which is all about the incident.
Okay.
And it's just frightening. I mean, it's amazing to me that with 4 of these sequences that they even kept this story in at all, and they didn't do another one.
It is.
And Vic Morrow is the father of Jennifer Jason Leigh.
Okay, she's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, God, imagine what that was like for her. So, yeah. One of the only films where the actor was decapitated by a helicopter and it still all kept going.
Yeah, it's really weird.
That shows you how much clout I think people like Spielberg have in the industry.
It's bad because I kind of have a joke in my head of maybe he's in the Twilight Zone, or that seems like a very Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
You know, it's just really bizarre, is all I'm saying.
Well, it's one of those things like, you know, they said that the Poltergeist movie had a curse and the Exorcist curse. It's one of those creepy things, and I certainly remember you hear about those kind of things when you're a kid, about crew members dying on
Matrix?
spooky films.
That's right. The Matrix, right? That was...
Did somebody die on that?
Yeah, oh no, I think a lot of people died, like Aliyah, is it Aliyah? No, is that something else? Maybe I'm thinking of something else.
Oh, the actress. Yeah, who died in a plane crash.
Yeah, that's right. She died in a plane crash, and then there's a few things.
Is she in the Matrix? You know, I think it was the Matrix curse that made Lawrence Fishburne really fat.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And then after it... Wait, has Keanu Reeves been in, like, a good movie since?
Oh, John Wick.
Oh, okay.
That's pretty good. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
Shoots a lot of guys.
Cool.
That's the entire plot, but it's pretty good.
Spoiler alert.
Alfie Allen, fucking Theon, kills Keanu Reeves' dog, so then he kills, like, 1 million people.
No way.
In revenge, yeah. That's what that should say on the poster, because that makes you go, oh yeah, I'd like to see this.
Like, Theon kills dog.
Theon kills dog.
Keanu Reeves goes nuts.
Just absolutely apeshit bonkers. All right, so then all the time frames merge together and the Nazis grab Bill and bash him and load him into a freight car on a train, which I guess because he died, maybe this was something from the Nazi stuff they'd shot earlier and then they've merged it all together. I don't really know how they got around this issue. But Bill knew where he was going now, knew what would happen when he got there, and yet somehow it didn't matter. What happened to him wasn't important. He would die, the others would die, and in time the Nazis would die. It was all the same, both for the victims and the victors, and it would always be the same until the day when hatred would die too. Bill's lips moved in silent prayer as the train rumbled through the twilight. And that's the end of segment one.
Powerful. So he gets it.
He goes off to take a shower with a lot of other like-minded individuals. Pretty horrible. But something that stuck with me is this is 1983, and notice how Bill gets supernatural karmic retribution for all of his racist crimes.
Yep.
But not once does he get any karmic retribution for his sexist crimes.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Where's the part where Bill is in a skimpy waitress uniform getting groped by lecturers?
Yeah, that's
Can you imagine
right.
like Vic Morrow in a little Hooters outfit, in little like shorty shorts, and they
What does he say to the waitress? Like, come here, I've had a bad day. What did he
come
say?
here, lady, and bounce on my knee or something like that. But you can imagine these old men that like as old as he is, just grabbing his like buttocks and squeezing it and patting their laps.
That would have been a good scene.
But apparently 1983, racism, we were against. Women, we undecided yet. Still didn't know quite what they were or what to do with them.
So they're meant to be waitresses.
Yeah, weren't really sure if they should have rights or not at that point.
Awful.
Just 30 years ago. And this is weird as well. Not only is the book missing the prologue, it doesn't have the segments in the same order as the film. Because in the film, next is the Spielberg one. But instead, the book goes into the last segment from the film called Valentine, which is the one with John Lithgow on the aeroplane, which is a remake of the Twilight Zone episode with William Shatner on the aeroplane.
Right.
Yeah. So here we go.
The plane plunged into the twilight. Oh, everything's in the twilight. That's kind of
All
nice.
the beginnings and ends mention the twilight.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Robert Bloch looks up from his typewriter and winks at the camera.
From his window seat, just forward of the right wing, Mr. Valentine blinked out at the darkening sky. Then, frowning, he consulted his wristwatch. 3 o'clock. Too early. Much too early for twilight. And yet,
The cloud. Sorry, I've written this terribly.
The cloud encircling the aircraft were violet, almost purple, peering ahead. Valentine noted a deepening darkness beyond. His frown deepened in response.
Violet, almost purple.
I know, that's what I'm just thinking.
Your biography?
Yeah. Well, like it's like violet, and they mentioned twilight twice.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's something.
I think he's trying to communicate with you
Yeah, I think so.
beyond the grave. Because he isn't with us anymore. Robert Bloch, I don't think.
And it's Valentine. Get this, like, I am born 3 days after Valentine's Day.
Whoa.
I know, crazy.
This is the story of your life if your life starred John Lithgow on a plane.
Maybe.
So Valentine, he's another surly man, or a surlyman, as I like to say.
Solomon.
Who then proceeds to have 20 pages of racist thoughts.
Oh, no way.
Just kidding, Violet. I'm pulling your leg.
I don't know these things.
Well, I'm a prankster. You got to be careful. No, Valentine's thing is that he hates flying. And all flying things.
Okay.
Dumbo,
Not against it.
a Rocky the Flying Squirrel. Doesn't like any of those things.
Pterodactyls? No.
Spits at them in the street.
Yep.
Hates them.
Why? Who hates pterodactyls? Come on.
I'm scared spitless, that's the problem. Only Valentine couldn't tell them that. My God, it's been 80 years since the Wright brothers took off at Kitty Hawk, and nobody's afraid of flying anymore. And everyone is on the plane, who is on the plane, is just totally chill, except for him.
Yeah.
Just decided if I was going to have a kid, a little girl, Kitty Hawk.
Kitty Hawk. That's a good superhero name, actually.
Kitty Hawk. Milton.
I think I kind of reminds me of Kitty Pryde. But
Pryde,
yeah,
yeah.
Kitty Hawk. I don't know.
Yeah. Hey kid, face through a wall, smack. Ha! Take that, Kitty Pryde pranks.
Kitty Hawk.
That's awful. Some really nice writing here, though, I thought. How could a man put his mind to math, concentrate on abstract theory in the midst of a menacing reality. And the reality was all around him. The reality of shuddering motion. The reality of swollen storm clouds just beyond the window pane.
Beautiful. That's really nice.
Something to ruminate on. And in fact, for pages, absolute pages, he thinks about how shitty air travel is. He compares himself to a prisoner. He says at one point that he'd prefer to be in the electric chair.
Wow.
Because it's quicker. You could smoke on a plane, though, in 1983.
He was sailing along the serenely at an elevation of 35,000 feet. The fasten your seatbelt sign had blinked off, and nicotine addicts were free to risk lung cancer again.
Can you imagine that, being on a plane full
Yeah.
of smoking people just lighting up? I'm really anti-smoking at the moment. Like, I said this on another show, it's just like, like masturbation. Sure, it makes that person feel good, but do you have to do it all the time?
Yeah.
Do you have to do it on a plane?
Yeah.
Like, can't you wait?
It's a pretty gross habit. But I liked how his phrase were that nicotine addicts, that doesn't sound great, were free to risk lung cancer again.
So we were worried about racism. We were worried about the health risks of smoking. Women, we're still trying to get a feel for them. Trying to get a feel for them when they're dressed in those sexy waitress outfits.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen that bit, and they do it kind of like it's a wrong thing. Like, it's
Yeah.
like, what a jerk of a person
Yeah.
to do that. So it's negative, but not so much as a negative to make a segment about, you know?
Well, the Twilight Zone is not too concerned with it. The
No,
Twilight Zone's
exactly.
like, sit this one out.
Yeah.
You guys sort of, that's boys will be boys.
Yep.
We should stay it as well. You're not feeling very well. Not only did you come in at the last minute, you're not feeling very well tonight, poor Violet. So you are an absolute champion for coming and doing this.
It's cold nights at the moment.
It is cold nights here on our side of the globe. So everybody, I want you to just pause. Stop what you're doing. I don't know if you're at the gym, if you're walking the dog, if you're buying things in a supermarket, if you're smoking, if you're whatever you're doing. Stop and put your hands together for Violet. Look at that. Right now, which isn't really right now, but later, which
Okay.
is somebody's right now. Some hands clapping for you around the globe.
No way. Get out of here.
Yeah. And fairies dying.
Maybe in the Twilight Zone.
In the Twilight Zone. Look, just like this podcast, there is a heap of padding for this very simple premise here. He even thinks for a page about his Uncle Joe and talks about his health history and then says that he had a heart attack in an elevator. But then the lightning storm begins.
The plane bounced into a sickening lurch, and so did Valentine's stomach. Glancing down, he noted that his hands were gripping the edges of his armrest. White knuckles. How he hated that casually used slang phrase.
You'll pick your battles, dude.
No, exactly.
Of all the things to worry about. White knuckles. Whoa.
What a damn phrase.
Where's his white pride? I mean,
Oh, Luke.
Bill! It's Bill's back. It's the ghost of Bill. 11 pages in, he finds himself in the lavatory cubicle, which is where the actual story in the film begins. So all of this stuff beforehand wasn't really that necessary. So Robert Bloch definitely earns the Paddington Bear Award for padding. And also learn, when we talk about women, they don't really understand computers.
The young stewardess squinted down at the opening title page. Microchip logic. The liberation of the left brain. She smiled at him. You're a science fiction fan, huh?
It's a textbook, Valentine told her. Computers! Something you wouldn't understand. I mean, what did computers do in 1983?
I'm not sure. I think it was just a black screen with a green techno font writing. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do.
And every now and then it would say downloading something.
Or you could do that thing where you would like type hello, and then you'd like write go do 10.
Yeah.
Print or whatever, and then it would just go hello, 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 hello. That's probably what he was doing. You wouldn't understand my hello program.
I'm always amazed at the movie Ghost when they do this stuff with the computers, and I'm just like, what are they doing? I don't really get it.
I don't.
Same with Terminator 2. It's like, what are you doing right now?
It was a different time.
Who knows?
Nobody understands computers. Not until like God, not even. I'm trying to think, what would be the first movie where somebody uses a computer and you go, this guy knows what he's doing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like, even when you look at stuff which was about the internet or like, the net or firewall or something like that, you
Hackers.
you just go, Well, hackers even, like, he wears some cyber eyepiece which helps him hack. We don't know how it helps him hack
exactly.
or what it does or whatever, but yeah. That's one for the listeners. If you can think of a movie where someone uses a computer and actually looks like they know what they do, not even in Avengers. The guy was playing Gallagher on the computer. They've got all these people sitting in the helicarrier with screens. They know what they're doing. So I originally thought that Valentine here was being a bit of a baby. But I will admit that these newly revealed conditions are pretty horrible. The little girl across from him has a doll wearing a striped jacket and a straw hat. A doll with a face of W.C. Fields. Valentine blinked. No, it wasn't a doll. More like a ventriloquist dummy. The little girl's face remained impassive, but the dummy peered at him with an ugly, crooked grin of its own. Christ, it was bad enough having all these people looking at him without putting up with a dummy too. And we're lucky because ventriloquist dummies were thankfully banned on aircraft post 9/11.
Wow.
Yeah, they were terrorists were training them to cause distractions in the cabin while they got out blades and stuff. But no
That's a
longer.
really bad joke.
Only real people now, no dummies.
Okay.
Yeah. They've got a scanner.
I thought it was mainly like because of Chucky, right?
Yeah, well, that's a
If
problem
you're
too.
bringing in Chucky to an airplane.
Well, no, they did. They put in special scanners, and people would go, the marshals there would be like, excuse me, sir, do you have a prosthetic leg? Because we're picking up a lot of wood here, and we're a little concerned. A lot of, you're showing high levels of wood and plastic. So anything wood or plastic, you would have to take off because, and they would check your jaw.
Oh, wow.
See if it was hinged like a dummy. Yeah.
Crazy.
They would make you like drink a glass of water and then quickly ask you a question.
Yeah,
and if
I've
you
heard
answered
this.
it while drinking the glass of water, that would raise their suspicions.
And like bow tie eyes were definitely banned, right?
Yes, bow ties a dead giveaway.
Deadly.
So what do you think this story's about now?
I'm confused now.
What's the
Hold on.
threat on this plane?
Whoa, dummy.
Yeah, so this is a story about a man trapped on a plane with an evil ventriloquist dummy.
Oh, horrible. I'm scared.
Well, you'd think that for a second because in the book, unlike the film, he has a weird dream about the dummy.
The open mouth moved, articulating a hoarse command. Please return to your grave. Extinguish all life. This is your captain, shrieking.
Thank God nobody says aloud in the film because that's ridiculous. No, look, Violet, relax. The dummy's a red herring.
Okay.
After more expert padding as he reads and responds to advertising in a magazine, the real threat is finally revealed when looking out the window. But then, out of the corner of his eye, he caught sight of something he hadn't noticed before. There was an extraneous object, a dark mass, clinging to the far wing pod, just barely visible in the blink of the beacon light. What do you reckon this is?
I don't know.
The shape disappears, but then, after further looking...
In the instant flicker of the lightning greenish glare, he saw it all too clearly. The naked ape, like figure of a man, sitting astride the outboard engine. Then vision vanished in the darkness of the storm. Again, the thunder rumbled. Ah, that's scary.
A naked ape man out on the wing straddling the engine.
Why didn't you just say the naked man?
Because he was ape-like. He's a creature. He's not just a naked man.
Okay.
Do you know what kind of creature he is, in all seriousness? I'm not going to take you on another bullshit story with this one.
What creatures?
He's not mentioned in the film, but I know it was the original TV show always referred to this character as the Gremlin.
Okay.
And that's that story. I don't know where the story originated. I should have looked it up. But that story that in the Gremlins movie, for example, Mr. Futterman talks about, which was this idea of World War II pilots experiencing gremlins on their planes that stuffed up the electronics and did things to electronics.
Yeah.
So the Gremlins movie isn't the origin of that story. It's an adaptation of that idea.
Okay.
So this is a gremlin who is attacking the plane. And there was an old Warner Brothers cartoon, I believe it was Warner Brothers, that featured these little creatures that were gremlins that also attacked planes.
Wow.
So there is like a bit of history there, and I don't know where it came from.
Yeah.
Presumably not too old because of the plane aspect.
True.
We just learnt something, didn't we?
Yeah, I did.
I did too. And I was the one saying it. So he freaks out again, but no one believes him. They give him instead some warm milk and a sedative. And if this had been post 9/11, an air marshal would have basically shot him in the face by
Yeah,
now,
exactly.
I think. And then more padding. He thinks about Shakespeare for a page and how Shakespeare had never had to fly in a plane. That's kind of obvious. And how Hamlet's dilemma differs from his own. Well, he was the
Wow.
Prince of Denmark and etc. This story really has more padding than a king-size luxury mattress. And then even more padding. He thinks it was a figment of his imagination, so...
Valentine searched his memory for a dictionary definition. Figment? Something made up, fabricated or contrived. But how could a mind capable of retaining a dictionary's definition also conjure up such a horrendous imaginary creation? A naked man-like monstrosity, riding on the wing through the stormy night like a witch straddling a broomstick.
Yeah, paging Dr. Freud. Sounds like the only thing Valentine is struggling with here is his sexuality. Naked man straddling this
A broomstick?
engine between his legs. So it's like, just, God, ask him out. So, 3 pages of Wikipedia-esque musing about the Bermuda Triangle then follows.
Okay.
So much padding. I guess because this story could be told in 3 pages if you applied yourself.
Well, when was this made? 1983?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
I mean...
no Wikipedia, but probably trips to the library.
Yeah,
actually.
Bermuda Triangle, I mean, there probably had been people that hadn't heard about it. Like, all you need to say is Bermuda Triangle, and everyone's like, yeah, we know what happened in the triangle, whereas...
Yeah, Bermuda Triangle. I always think that it's like kind of something related to bikini waxing.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
good. That's really good.
Yeah.
Well done.
I've got a bit of a Bermuda Triangle
Perfect.
right now.
That's way better. And that's what you do before you go to Bermuda?
Yeah, I've got to get it taken care of. So finally, he decides to yank up the blind and look out the window again. He can't help himself.
And there, grinning at him through the window, was the face, the hideous, mocking face of his nightmare. Valentine screams.
So Valentine freaks out yet again because the creature has been ripping up the engines. The little girl takes his picture with her Polaroid camera and he thinks in his head that she's a little bitch, which I thought was a bit harsh. And an air marshal is actually there and does threaten him. He's got a gun strapped to his ankle and the co-pilot comes out and talks to him. He admits, yeah, look, buddy, an engine is down, but we got 3 other engines. What are you complaining about?
Yeah.
Until Valentine, in a moment of turbulence, looks out the window again and sees the creature just totally fucking shit up like a wild man. Now, incredibly, the apparition squatting on the wing was tearing loose a fuel line. Oil gushed forth, spraying like water from a garden hose. As Valentine watched, the creature bent forward, encircling the loose end with greedy lips. My God, he's drinking from it. All
Wow.
fueled up on airplane fuel.
Yeah.
Like, just, this guy's nuts. It's all too much for Valentine.
Yeah.
He grabs the Sky Marshal's gun, shoots through the glass.
Oh, wow.
The cabin decompresses.
Yep.
He starts shooting at the creature, and...
The bullet found its marks in the creature's stomach. Casually, the thing reached down and plucked the missile off his hide the way one would remove some annoying insect. Raising the bullet to his gaping mouth, he swallowed it. What?
And then he descends upon the gun, and raising the weapon to its mouth, the creature began to chomp on the barrel, chewing it up bit by bit like a child eating a candy bar.
Crazy.
Can you believe that? He's just eating metal like some sort of scary billy goat. Wouldn't that be crazy if it turned out they'd just gone past a low mountain and a billy goat, like a mountain goat,
yeah.
just jumped on?
Yeah, they're good at balancing.
Because they eat boots.
Exactly.
They eat tin cans,
Yeah.
aeroplane engines.
Yeah, and you see them. You've seen them on like dams and like mountains,
Yeah,
and, like,
yeah.
on top of trees and stuff.
They
They're
can get up.
nuts.
They can jump high.
Yeah, they're crazy.
Then as the plane lands, the creature winks, waggles his finger, and...
The hump-like mass between its shoulder blades suddenly extended and expanded into webbed wings. The creature moved back, its wings spreading wide, then plunged forward and soared off into the night.
So Valentine faints. He's taken away in an ambulance. They think he's crazy. But then, here's our Twilight Zone twist, the mechanics realise that the plane was indeed damaged by something. And this is the ending of this story.
The scowling mechanic shook his head, then raised his eye to ask the final question. Holy Christ, what happened up here? There was no answer. The skies above were clear in the gathering twilight.
Twilight.
Or were they?
Or were they? I think, forget the Bermuda Triangle. I might be a bit slow off the mark, but I think that plane flew through the Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
I think that's what he's hinting at.
Yeah. I get it.
It's in the sky. And it's in Nazi France.
And it can kind of be anywhere as well. Like, you can just be walking along and then, whoop,
Yeah.
just in the Twilight Zone again.
Yeah. Do you know where I think it is?
Where?
First base, second base, third base, Twilight Zone.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah. Whew. There's 2 more of these fucking stories.
Oh my god.
The last one's really quick. Our intermission is the photo section, which is black and white, falling apart. Doesn't show a single one of the creatures or monsters or anything in this film. Real letdown. Makes the film look like it was from like the 60s or something.
Yeah.
Actually looks like the original TV series.
Yep.
Very disappointing when it's a big movie. So the third segment, and this is the third segment in the film, directed by Joe Dante. It is called Helen, and it begins a lot like this.
The lights in the room were just a little too dim for proper vision, but Mama didn't care. The music was a trifle soft for anyone who might be a bit hard of hearing, but Mama didn't care about that either. Most people disliked being stared at by strangers, but this didn't bother Mama at all, because Mama was dead. Mama was dead, and nothing in the world would ever bother her again.
So we assume straight away this is about a dead mother who haunts people, rises from the grave, and vacuums.
Yeah, once again, I don't know about this. So
turns out Helen is just at her mother's funeral. That's why she's dead.
Okay.
And there's all this padding about Helen growing up. Pages of her talking to her sister. None of it's important because the film just starts with her driving to a roadhouse and asking for directions.
Okay.
All this stuff that happened beforehand does not matter. In the book, she leaves the funeral and in the car she ruminates about punk rock for a page, about kids and how they love noise and splatter films and video games. But here's something that we actually know about as she enters the diner. Happens in almost every American book, and I'm really glad that it even happens in the Twilight Zone.
as she opened it, a wave of warm air fanned her face, carrying with it the all-too-familiar reek of fast food as it's greasiest, a stomach-churning comes of French fries, cheeseburgers, and frozen pizzas, which had been subjected to ordeal by fire.
Oh, it sounds like heaven.
Yeah.
Absolute heaven. And she had a really great meal, and that was the end. That's the weakest story.
Yeah.
No, there's a 10-year-old boy in here who is pounding the shit out of the side of an arcade game. And it's totally pissing off the locals because it's interfering with the TV. So the kid runs out. Helen hits him with his car, mangles his bike, so she has to agree to drive him home. And the kid's sad because he's saying his family don't care about him and today is his birthday. But things are getting weird, starting with the house as she approaches it.
As they approached, Helen noted that the architecture was Victorian, like something out of an old picture book, rising from a complimentary setting of green lawn, surrounded by a white picket fence. It seemed out of place here, as if it had been dropped from the sky.
So this could be some sort of up scenario. Yeah.
Twilight sky, right?
Yeah. And there's also 3 cars here, and she's like, a family with 3 cars? What are they, gazillionaires? And these cars are covered in dust.
Weird.
It's a bit of a clue. Think about it. So in the weird house, cartoons are playing all the time. And Helen is introduced to the oddly smiling, very overly enthusiastic Uncle Walt and Sister Ethel. But Robert Bloch, our author, is more interested in giving the 16-year-old Ethel, the actress that played her, giving her a lasting complex. In contrast, Ethel was quite plump. She appeared to be about 16, and the bulging body beneath her blouse and skirt betokened the results of overindulgence in junk food. Her face, framed by long strands of lusterless blonde hair, wore a bovine look, calling this poor 16-year-old actress a cow.
Yes.
Saying that she's not especially attractive.
No.
And that she's a bit of a fatty. So I looked it up. It's Nancy Cartwright, this actress, who is the voice of Bart Simpson.
Ah.
I guess she
Wow.
went, well, I guess I'm just going to have to be a voice from now on.
Yeah.
Because I look like a cow.
So harsh.
There aren't a lot of cow roles in Hollywood. She did play that one in Twister, that just like flew past the windshield.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
But that really is one of the only on-screen roles on IMDb. Mother and father turn up. They're also very excited. And as Anthony's the boy, I don't know if I mentioned that, he leads Helen through strange corridors, and she sees another sister in a wheelchair, her back turned. Book doesn't reveal why, but it's really cool in the film because we see like the reverse shot and we realise that she doesn't have a mouth.
Oh, wow.
Which is really cool.
Spooky,
That is
yeah.
creepy. Something very weird about this family. In the dim light from the picture tube, their faces loomed, drawn and haggard. But it was only a trick of the light. As Anthony entered the room, they turned to him instantly, wearing smiles of welcome. So, completely different behaviour when Anthony turns up.
Yeah.
What do you reckon's wrong with Anthony?
Crazy. He's a monster child.
Yeah. So they watch cartoons as Mother returns with what I would imagine to be a typical American dinner.
What kind of meal was this? A thin hamburger? A thin hamburger and a jelly donut nestled against a candy bar and a bag of potato chips.
That sounds, yeah. That's...
No, how dare... I mean, a thin hamburger?
A thin
Who has
hamburger is
heard
an
of that?
insult to America. They didn't fight for our freedom to have thin hamburgers.
No.
Helen questions the way they're bringing up this kid, so they all start to panic a bit. And Anthony gets testy and demands that Uncle Walt perform a magic hat trick in order to get Helen to stay.
As Helen watched, Uncle Walt moved slowly across the room and reached out to pick up the top hat. He grasped it hesitantly, the gesture of a man forcing himself to pick up a live coal from the fire.
So what do you think's in this thing?
I don't know.
Scorpions?
Yeah.
Snuffleupagus?
I don't know.
Another gremlin?
I don't know.
It would be lame if it was just another gremlin. Bill the racist.
It's like, what can we have? And then...
There's a gremlin. No. Before Helen could turn away, Uncle Walt's hand descended into the hat, then drew back gasping, eyes frantic with fear. He watched as an enormous figure rose to tower above the television set. It was a rabbit, but not the sort that a professional stage magician could conjure up. Only a sorcerer could summon such a thing. This was a multicoloured monstrosity, a huge misshapen creature with the paws and claws of a tiger. Great yellow eyes bulged above a snouted muzzle, which gaped wide now, revealing a long snake-like tongue lolling forth from between the curved fangs of a saber-tooth.
Oh, crazy.
Very cool image in the film. Probably my favourite shot is this. It looks like, who's that artist that does the rat fink stuff?
I think I kind of know what you're talking about with that big teeth and...
Yeah, and in the monster, like, hot rods and stuff, and with one hand on the
and
gear
it's, like,
stick.
kind of going fast and those sort of lines. Yeah, they're really
I feel like
cool.
it's Ed somebody or...
And they're like white inky marks they make. Yep.
Yeah, it looks like that.
Yeah,
looks
cool.
like one of those come to life. But the demon rabbit disappears. Helen tries to leave. Anthony stops her, insisting he got mad. He didn't mean to do that. And then she finds a note in her handbag the family had left her, which confirms your suspicions, Violet.
Across its length read the word of the hastily scrawled pencil message. Help us, Anthony is a monster.
So it is revealed they are all captives of Anthony, who was led to his house and forced to be part of the family. Ethel explains it all, so Anthony banishes her to Cartoon Land, which I thought was ironic considering she spent the last 20-odd years on The Simpsons.
Yeah, exactly.
Because she was banished there.
So we're banishing your acting career to...
The Simpsons.
Oh,
Lucky for
cool.
her. It turned out to be quite lucrative.
Yeah.
But you never know. Helen followed his gaze to the screen where animated figures of goblins and witches were chasing their victim. Now the object of their pursuit glanced back and Helen stared in shock at the familiar face. Ethel was in the cartoon.
What?
It's even more freaky in the movie because it's actually a wolf with an axe covered in blood who's like, I'm gonna chop you up, Ethel. Helen is sick of this shit, but when she opens the door to get the fuck out...
Reeling, she forced herself forward again, but as she did so, something rolled through the darkness to bar her path. Feeling the threshold before her was a gigantic staring eyeball.
People are gonna think I'm just so fucking horrible for doing this to you. They're gonna be like, that poor girl. Like, he's there going, read this 1983 shitty novelization. She's clearly, like, coughing. You've also just finished work. You worked late.
know.
You, like, came straight here. I feel bad. But we're still going to keep going.
Cool. We had a deal. It was this and I get Saga. So
oh, yes, you're going to raid the books
that's...
downstairs. You raid the bookshelves. Yeah, make it up. Make it up to you. It sounds so much cooler in the book, this idea of the big gigantic eyeball rolling into place. In the movie, she just opens it up and it's like a shitty projection of an eye. It's
They just
nonsense.
needed that drawing, you know, that sort of eyeball and that style of the bunny.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking
he
about,
does
yeah.
make a monster rise out of the television, which in the movie, again, is really that style, that sort of Ratfink style. But then he wishes it all away. The room itself had melted away. Helen turned her eyes, searching the darkness, finding nothing but the night surrounding her on all sides. Nothing but the night, and Anthony standing beside her in empty space. So inexplicably, Helen agrees to stay with Anthony forever and help him master his powers, although, in my opinion, her priorities seem just a little bit out of whack. See what you think. She must really do something about Anthony's vocabulary. He just said okay 3 times in 5 minutes, and she would have to teach him something about grooming. His hair was badly in need of combing, and that soiled outfit he wore was a positive disgrace. He's just killed
I know.
a bunch of people. I guess you can't take the school teacher out of her.
Anthony is a psycho.
And I guess this freaky couple live happily ever after because this is the ending of this story.
Anthony smiled with her. The whole world was smiling now as the car sped through the fields of flowers and into the twilight of the trees beyond.
Twilight again.
Twilight of the trees.
Don't tell me they were in the Twilight Zone as well.
Ah, yeah, they were.
What are the chances of
They were in the Twilight Zone.
3 different people?
For sure.
3 different people who are the titular people in each story. Helen, Bill, and Valentine all just happen to be in the Twilight Zone. Stretching my credulity, sir. Okay, which finally brings us to Bloom, the last segment, which is actually the second segment in the film. And this is the one I never even remember is in the film because it's not scary or creepy like the other ones. It's actually got a sort of more sweet,
Oh, yep, I know the
hopeful
one.
tone.
Yeah.
And Spielberg directed it.
Yep.
Bloody
So,
syrupy
actually,
Spielberg.
yeah. So it's pretty much the story of Hook, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
pretty
it
much.
is.
The only thing that's worth it is some funny kid acting in it, but otherwise it's pretty balls. But it's called Bloom, and it begins like this. We're going to race through this one. The afternoon sun was just beginning to fade as Mr. Bloom walked through the doorway. Miss Cox looked up from her seat behind the reception desk and then nodded briskly. "Here we are." She rose and moved forward with a smile of greeting that was as false as her teeth. "I've been expecting you all afternoon, Mr. Bloom." So, Bloom is arriving at Sunnyvale Nursing Home where everybody is old and depressing Violet. To this young buck anyway. I thought, my God, just die already.
Sunnyvale reminds me of Sunnydale, right?
Yeah, great. Sarah Michelle Gellar. Strut her around on screen for us to see. Maybe not in 1983. But, old people. Who wants to watch films about old people? I feel like if you're watching this film, when the old people come on, go and get yourself a snack. You've got about a good 20 minutes.
Okay, you made your point. So
Make a cake. Sorry, yeah, we're going to race through this. Bloom is arriving at Sunnyvale Nursing Home. Yep, everyone's upset, old. Everything seemed grey here, including the inmates, and Sunnyvale was no different from the other retirement homes he'd seen, just another warehouse for senior citizens awaiting graduation into oblivion. So Violet, these coffin dodgers, they chatter amongst themselves about vitamins and shit. Mr. Conroy begs his family to take him home for the weekend, but his son fobs him off again so that he can just piss around in his Cadillac all weekend.
Yep.
They talk about how shitty TV is, how their bodies hurt, how they can't dance or play games like they used to. Finally, it's too much for Bloom, who says something which I think is very wise.
The day we stop playing is the day we start getting old.
You gotta keep playing. So he encourages them all to come out and play Kick the Can, which I'm thinking is probably going to result in one of them kicking the bucket instead. They are very old. No one makes that joke. I wrote that down and thought, I'm going to get another couple of sentences and he's going to say the same thing. He didn't, so fuck him. He wants them all to play at midnight to recapture their youth, but first they all go to bed and Block pads it by telling us about their dreams. Mr. Mute dreams about mole rats, and there's like a page of Wikipedia-esque information about mole rats. Oh, no. I understand, like you were saying, this is how we learn about these things.
Yeah, okay.
It's stretching it. Mm-hmm. If it'd been a dream about mole rats, At least we'd have Shannon Doherty.
And like Jason Lee.
Jason Lee. He's hilarious in that film.
Ben Affleck's in it.
Ben Affleck, yeah.
Yeah.
An uncomfortable place. He didn't mean the back seat of a Volvo, let me tell you. But yes, Mr. Bloom wakes them all up, and at midnight...
He tossed the can, the old folks ran, Bloom counted, and above him the full moon turned the night to silver.
I realise I have no idea how the game Kick the Can works. It makes no sense to me.
Self-explanatory, right? You just kick the can. Like, you just kick the shit out of can.
I think so, yeah. It's like, barcoding? You heard about barcoding?
Is that just like kicking the shit out of a milk, the Master's Choc Chill or something?
Yeah, they do. But then if the barcode is facing up, they get to
is that it?
They get to punch each other or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Just into like kicking shit and punching shit.
But in this instance, they all become magically young again. But you know how we talked about at the beginning about how they cheated that Dan Aykroyd transformation with the cut? They don't show them transform. It's just suddenly you just see kids.
Yeah, exactly.
This is Spielberg. He gave us E.T. You think he would,
No, he gave us Hook as well.
That's true. He gave it to us here again, as you said. And kids they were, each and every one of them, laughing children, clad in the outsized outfits of Harry and Sadie Weinstein, Mr. A.G. and Mrs. Dempsey. Mrs. Dempsey was still holding a cat, but it was a kitten now.
Oh, weird.
So they all go nuts, and they dance and swing from trees. They act generally drunk. Kids are drunk all the time.
Yeah.
But then, after just a couple of minutes, they're like, this is a bit shit. I don't want to go through all this crap again.
Yeah.
Like school and work. No, they're just like, fuck that. Forget it. So they all go back to bed and get old again, except for Mr. A.G., who buggers off out the window, like Peter Pan, actually.
Yeah.
Basically to go and root things, I think. I think he wants to go sow his wild oats because he's a bit older than the other ones.
Yeah.
And, would you want to be a kid again? It seems like hard work.
Yeah, amazed me, because I did see this bit as well. It's like, what is he going to do? Is it survival prostitution? Because he's kind of, like, stuck in the teenage years.
Yeah.
Like, the adolescent. I don't know what he's going to do. Like, I mean, you can't really... Like, does he go and enroll himself at school? Does he have... I don't know, like, obviously his will or whatever's paying for him to be in that home. I don't know how it's going to work.
I think he becomes a rent boy in the sequel.
Oh, okay.
And this is the ending, and this is the ending of the book. Bloom stared at a dreary room full of old people seated in the shadows. As they looked up, he glanced past them, staring through the picture window beyond. Then he smiled and stepped forward. Outside, twilight was falling.
Oh, wait, so they were in the Twilight Zone?
No, it can't be. Hang on.
No.
I didn't pick that up.
But it's in the Twilight Zone.
3 times I would accept, but 4 times is just ridiculous. Okay, I don't like that book at all. Don't you think each story had a really lackluster ending? Like, the first one, he just goes off in a train. Mm-hmm. The second one...
What happened there?
He went off in an ambulance.
Oh, okay, yep,
and the plane was really wrecked. Third one, she just drove off with him into the sunset.
I don't get that third one. I just don't get a...
Yeah, well, she's just like, really I want to look after you and help you. And he's like, cool. And then he turns the landscape into a, like, fantasy flowery landscape, and they drive off together. It's pretty...
yeah, it is.
It's not like a... twist or that sort of didn't see that coming kind of sucker punch.
Maybe it was like, and the real monster is her. Like, what? I don't know.
Women are the real monster is what I learned from this. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you that women are mysterious, monstrous creatures who are the true inhabitants.
Am I in Twilight Zone?
Of the Twilight Zone, yeah. Wouldn't that be crazy if there was a sudden eerie twist to this story?
Actually, you know what? I'm scared now. I was thinking, it's night, I'm driving home, it's going to be a Twilight Zone moment. I'm scared. Yeah, this scared me, Luke. Why not?
You'll look out on the rearview vision mirror and...
It'll be a gremlin.
There'll be a naked ape-like man straddling your side mirror. It'll just be tiny.
Yep.
There's something on my mirror! Sure there is, lady. Yeah. You can fly away. Don't worry about it. Got to ask you, Violet, as I always do. It's a good thing, because it means we're nearly finished. Was the book better?
No, the movie was better.
Hell yeah, I agree. And there weren't many reviews. I just thought this one on Amazon really said it how it was. Outside of a few of his trademark wordplay zingers, Block can do little to liven up the below-average material he has to work with. So what was the point? I mean, this is Robert Block, author of Psycho and countless classic stories. Why waste time with this project? It had to have been the money. Block addicts may want this only for a complete library of the master's work. Others should just stay with the mediocre movie. Can't recommend it.
Wow.
It makes us feel bad because we wasted our time with it without the money.
Yeah.
Well, then what does that make us?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm just really confused. I think I'm in the Twilight Zone again. Like, we just read a review of someone who, I don't know.
I like the hierarchy of it, though, when you sort of go, why did this author waste time?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
writing this book, and then you go, whoa, why did we waste time reading the book and talking about it and recording it? And then we go, why did the listener waste time just listening to this bullshit?
Exactly.
So they're the biggest dummy of all. We're in the middle. We're fine. We got dummies on either side.
Hold on. If I drew a Venn diagram, it would be the book. Hold on, it would be like Robert Block. See, I'm already confused.
If I had to write a song about it, I'd say there are clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right. That's what I'd say.
You're very funny.
Just some little lyrics that I've been working on. All right, Christ, we're done. I covered 4 stories. That's quite a lot to take on. Especially under these very challenging circumstances, Violet. So thank you so much.
Thanks.
You know, she's got, you guys can't see it, she's got an IV, a drip. She flatlined a couple of times there. I'm going to edit out that bit with the defibrillator. I'm going to edit out that bit where I can't say defibrillator. Defibrillator?
Yeah, I think so.
So you would agree with anything right now, just to have it over with. Please listen to the other shows. FP Cast every Monday, Scarjo a Go-Go every Thursday, and our American friend Jay does Star WTF every Wednesday. You can find them all at www.fruitlesspursuits and also geekvision.tv. Rate reviewers on iTunes. You'll find the links to our Facebook group. Come and talk about the show. Come and send Violet your get well cards and flowers and things. Wish her well. And you can also, if you're a diehard fan, you can support us, subscribe to us on Patreon, patreon.com/fruitlesspursuits. And if you subscribe a little bit of money each month, you'll get bonus episodes and things. And we're going to put all that money into curing Violet's health issue.
Thank you, thanks.
Oh, actually, no, I forgot. I thought we were in America for a second, and then we had to do that. We're fine. We've got an actual healthcare system.
Yeah, we do, thank God.
You'll be fine.
Medicare, that's right.
They're all sorted. Thanks again, Violet. You're the best.
Thank you.
So cool.
Thanks.
And, we'll catch you
on the flips. Oh my.